Welcome back, Commander. Do you remember that mission long ago in the NOD campaign where you started off with a very small amount of units? And you had to get past a medium tank to capture some old, destitute NOD buildings? And then you had to sell a construction yard so that you can get an engineer? And then you would use those funds and those units to move over to a GDI base so that you could then capture that. It's kind of the same thing here. Which, kind of just... I don't know, I wish it wasn't the case. Although at the same time, I am thankful that the game decides not to, throw your construction yard under the bus and the AI targets other stuff. As you can imagine, these two buildings will also be fairly useless in the short term. And the only reason I'm repairing the power plant is just to see if I can boost production.
Building in progress. Unable to comply. Building in progress.
This mission isn't too bad. I never really am a fan of having to lock progression behind capturing old base, selling stuff there, and then moving all your stuff over to a GI base. But it's not used all too much, so it's not so bad. It's just more time consuming. Maybe it's just the fact that I have these horrible flashbacks where the last time this happened, I had to restart 7 times, and I had a grenadier blow up my helicopter 2-3 times. Oh, and much like the previous level, this level is going to have something that prevents me from winning at the end, annoyingly. I was really worried that the rocket infantry or minigunner were going to attack the harvester, and it just goes to show that I've played later games in this series far more and far too frequently, because the harvester, once it gets into a refinery, is no longer a harvester, so attacking it, you can't attack it, and therefore the AI won't send its entire army of stuff at you. And there's kind of the jerk move, is that you can't keep your original stuff. Not that it matters too much, because the only thing you're losing is flamethrower units, but it's just another one of those things where I kind of wish it wasn't the case. Boy, I can't wait to be able to queue units into transports.
Right away, sir. Unit reporting. Yes, sir. Moving out. Reporting. Moving out. Waiting order. Moving out. Roger.
Construction complete. Building.
I will say that the toughest part about this mission is the build-up.
Construction complete.
There's not much in ways of Tiberium fields, because this map, when you look at it without the fog of war, it looks very much like the first mission for NOD in the covert operations, which I believe was Bad Neighborhood, the one where civilians try to spot your base and whatnot. Anyways. Point is that the map looks very similar to it, and in that sense, like very much about like Tiberium fields. So while you do have some nearby, the one to the right, like immediate right of my base, actually comes under harvesting from the GDI base like really quickly. So I don't particularly know why the AI chooses that Tiberium field over another, but because it's also eating up mine, it means that I have that much less funds to do anything with.
Construction complete. New construction.
And then there's the fact that like you're kind of starting from nothing,
No problem.
so you never really have like a large number of forces.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Reporting. Moving out. Reporting. Not a problem.
Building. Building.
Yes, sir. Waiting order. No. Ready and waiting. You got it.
So if you guys remember, in the first in Bad Neighborhood, you had a little bit of a cliff to the north of your base, which is kind of the same thing here, except you can't actually go onto it.
Yes, yes.
And then north of that, there's a bridge that leads to a large Tiberium field with multiple blossom trees and basically like a ton of Tiberium ready for harvesting. The same thing exists here. It's just that, again, because of its distance, because you don't have a Tiberium field that's like unmolested, quote unquote, to your immediate left of your base, it cuts out that income that could be very useful.
Reporting. Reporting.
And when you end up having to go up against an MRLS with almost just infantry and a medium tank, you know, you prioritize the MRLS because it'll destroy all your infantry real quick, and then you got nothing, right? So and again, like I hate guard towers. I don't find them very good, so I just never bother. Like compared to turrets, I would prefer having to build turrets every day of the week instead of guard towers. But anyways, so we can see that the AI is sending harvesters towards my base. I really don't know why. Unfortunately, there's two problems that have come up recently. One is the fact that we see that the AI has airstrikes. So I have to basically like waste a unit, which isn't so bad. Minigunners are cheap, blah blah blah. But I still have to spend a unit and hope that it doesn't die to anything. And because I don't have chem warriors or anything, I can't send it into the Tiberium fields up into the top left. Another problem is that while the AI is sending harvesters into my base, and I wish I could do something about it, other than capturing them in like a live segment of sandbags that I would create, which is doable, you can't actually build to the bottom of the water. Like the way that this tile set specifically works gives them enough space to actually drive around. Which sucks because I would have loved if I could have just like sandbagged the two harvesters and then just like wait out the AI. Well, not wait out, but you know, not have to worry about them getting any more funds. Now, technically, I could probably do something where, you know, I bring up my large army of medium tanks and just, like, smash through the base in the front, but, again, like, it just comes back to the one issue I have with Tiberian Dawn, which is, if you have a large force and you lose it, that's kind of it. It's just, it's hard to come back from large unit losses. So instead I'm going to opt for the main tactic I always prefer.
Waiting order.
Construction
Moving
complete.
out. Moving out.
So at this point, the sandbags probably isn't going to work, but I was hoping that that harvester would drive down,
Yes, sir.
be next to the cliff and the sandbags, and then I would just like block it in really quickly before it had time to turn around and like drive. But unfortunately that didn't work out. So instead, I'm going to take kind of a gamble here. I can advance to the cliff face, and I know that the AI isn't shooting at me, so it doesn't have a defense there. Or at least, if it's there, it's probably further up north, and it's not, so far it's not a guard tower, obviously, and it'd be hard to justify a guard tower being in such a random spot. So instead, I'm going to bust the wall to give myself just enough space for my choppers to actually land and do something, and then pop out as many engineers as I can, and hopefully just defeat the AI from within.
Reporting. Moving out. Moving out. Right away, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Unit reporting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And looking at the forces I have, it kind of just shows like what I'm talking about when it comes to losing units is hard to overcome. I've got 2 medium tanks that are almost dead, and repairing them is just time consuming.
Yes, moving out. Yes, moving out.
And there's no way that I would ever really be able to
Captured.
Got it.
GDI building.
increase that number of forces.
GDI building. Captured.
Not to any significant degree, anyways.
Captured. Building. GDI building.
And yeah, it turns out that my master plan was probably like too effective. I wasn't expecting the AI to just have everything in the top right corner. So, like, that's it. I've basically won. It's got no production. It's about to lose its last harvester. So, there's nothing that it can really do. The biggest threat it can put up is airstrikes. And it can't do that anymore. But even though I try to play it the fast way, I figure, oh well, there's a couple watchtowers or guard towers. I got to take those out. Not a big deal.
Yes, sir.
And there's a couple grenadiers that are probably going to give me guff for a little bit, so no big deal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is annoying though that you have to cross the bridge because the AI is a little weird sometimes.
Affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Waiting. Affirmative. Yes,
It's just those one-tile entrances that it just has difficulty with.
Building.
report affirmative. Roger. Yes, sir. Waiting. Affirmative. Yes, yes, sir.
Construction complete.
So now I'm just trying to guess like what the AI is trying to do, and it seems that it wants to suicide against all my medium tanks, which is, fine. They shouldn't put up much of a fight. Alright, mission accomplished.
Unit report. Affirmative.
Did I miss a unit? Is there somebody like in that little bit of fog of war? Did I miss somebody in a Tiberium field?
Unit
Is there a hidden unit at the start that I just like managed to not aggro?
moving out. Unit report. Moving out.
Like, this is driving me nuts at this point.
You got it. Yes, affirmative. Waiting order. Unit acknowledged. Moving out. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Waiting order. Yes, sir.
Like, maybe it's the chain link fence that's never been a factor ever.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Surely the chain link fence is what's causing me not to win.
Yes, moving out.
I even figure I'll use my highfalutin, map and try to scope something out, see if I can see something other than red.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moving out. Affirmative.
And what clearly looks like light blue.
Primary building selected. Primary building selected.
Okay, so
Building.
there's no hidden units. What am I missing? And I believe maybe it was at like minute 4 or whatever of this video, something. But I'm pretty sure we saw a GDI helicopter, and it just so happens to drop 5 engineers, which don't move and don't do anything. Don't ask why. I don't know.
Sir. Yes, sir. Moving vehicle acknowledged.
But that's it for Tiberian Dawn. I'll see you for Red Alert.
Vehicle acknowledged.
Mission accomplished.